Hi guys, this is Hafsa, your instructor at Solve It. So this is the first video for the English section of the IBA and LUMS admission test. And the topic that we're going to start with is called parts of speech. Now, parts of speech is not tested directly in either of the tests, but it's very necessary to know the different parts of speech and the functions they serve, right? So the first one is verb, the second one is noun, the third one is adjective, the fourth one is adverb, the fifth one is pronoun, and the sixth one is conjunction. So we're going to go through them one by one and study their examples as well as their purpose in speech. So the first part of speech that we're going to study is verb. So verbs are simply action words, any word that represents an action, for example, singing, or an occurrence, for example, developing, or a state of being, for example, existing. All of these are verbs. Okay, so for example, if I say I am singing, then singing is the verb in the sentence. If I say that I am developing an interest for mathematics, then developing is the verb in this sentence. If I say that I am happy, then am is the verb in the sentence. All right. So anytime you're not sure if a word is a verb, just ask yourself, can I do this? Can I think? Can I wonder? Can I walk? Can I yawn? If your answer is yes, then the word is a verb. Okay, so the second part of speech that we're going to look at is noun. So noun can be anything. It can be a person, it can be an animal, a place, an idea, an emotion. Literally anything you can think of is a noun. All right, so for example, apple, for example, charger, pencil, shirt, chair, door, sky, cloud. So all of these are nouns, right? And there are common nouns and there are proper nouns. So common nouns are words that refer to most general things. For example, country, evening, laughter, puppy, umbrella, girl, boy. All of these are common nouns. For example, if I take the sentence, Kathy loves the weekends in the country. So in this sentence, the word weekends and the word country are common nouns. We enjoy swimming after breakfast. So breakfast is the common noun over here. Also, swimming is a verb, right? The cup fell and broke. So cup is a common noun over here. Now, proper nouns are names that identify someone or something, a person or a place. And proper nouns are always capitalized. So, for example, people's names, countries' names, cities' names, companies' names, all of these are proper nouns. So, for example, the word girl is a common noun. But if the girl has a name, for example, Lucy, then Lucy is a proper noun. All right. The word car is a common noun. But if the car is a Toyota or a Honda, then Honda or Toyota is the proper noun. So anything that identifies someone or something by a name is a proper noun and it should always be capitalized like this. So here are some examples of proper nouns. The first sentence is Emily loved spending time with her Aunt Nancy in Paris. So in this sentence, Emily, Aunt Nancy, and Paris are all proper nouns because they identify someone or a place and they give it a name. So Emily is the name of a girl, Aunt Nancy is Emily's aunt, and Paris is the name of a city. So they're all proper nouns and they should all be capitalized. The second one is Buick and Jeep are two important car makers. So Buick and Jeep are both names of companies, so they're proper nouns and they should be capitalized. The third one is we visited Lake Erie, which separates the United States and Canada. So Lake Erie, United States, and Canada are all proper nouns and they should all be capitalized. So let's move on to the third one, which is adjective. So adjectives are simply describing words. They describe nouns or pronouns, and they're usually positioned right before the noun or pronoun that they're describing. So for example, in the first sentence, they live in a big, beautiful house. The words big and beautiful are adjectives, and they're describing a noun, which is house. So they're positioned right before the noun. The second sentence, since it's a hot day, Lisa is wearing a sleeveless shirt. So the words hot and sleeveless are adjectives and they're describing nouns. So the first noun is day and the second noun is shirt. In the third sentence, the mountain tops are covered in sparkling snow. The word sparkling is an adjective because it's describing the snow, which is a noun. In the fourth sentence, on her birthday, Brenda received an antique vase filled with fragrant roses. So the words antique and fragrant are adjectives because they're describing two different nouns, which is vase and roses. So the fourth one is adverb. An adverb is very similar to an adjective in the sense that it describes another word, but the only difference between an adverb and an adjective is that an adjective describes a noun. Adjective describes a noun, but an adverb describes a verb. Okay, that is the main difference between the two, but they are both describing words. All right, they're both describing words. So, how do we describe a verb? So, for example, the word sings is a verb, and I'm describing it by saying loudly. He sings loudly. So, loudly is an adverb. Or if I say that my cat waits impatiently for his food. So, waits is a verb, and impatiently is an adverb because it's describing the verb. I will seriously consider your suggestion. So consider is a verb and seriously is an adverb because it is describing the verb. Adverbs can also describe adjectives. For example, if I'm saying he is very tall, then the word tall is an adjective and the word very, he is very tall, very is an adverb because it's describing the adjective. It can also describe another adverb. So, for example, if I say it ended too quickly, for example, the show or the movie ended too quickly, then too is an adverb and quickly is also an adverb, right? So too is describing the other adverb, which is quickly, which means it ended very quickly. Okay, and adverbs can also describe a whole sentence. So, for example, fortunately, I had brought an umbrella. So it's describing the whole sentence, and the adverb over here is fortunately. So the adverbs in the sentences that we studied in the previous slide answer the question in what manner. Okay, so if you think about it, there was a sentence that said Philip sings loudly. So how does Philip sing? He sings loudly. So it answers the question in what manner. How does Philip sing? He sings loudly. How does my cat wait? It waits impatiently. Again, it answers the question in what manner. How will I consider your suggestion? Seriously. Again, seriously answers the question in what manner. So adverbs can also answer other types of questions, for example, when and where. So to answer when, an example is we arrived early. So when did we arrive? We arrived early. So early is an adverb. And where do we have to turn? We have to turn here. So the word here is an adverb. So, a few examples of adverbs describing adjectives are the woman is quite pretty. So, the word quiet is an adverb and the word pretty is an adjective. So, the adverb is describing the adjective. The woman is quite pretty. So, quite is an adverb. The book is more interesting than the last one. So, interesting is an adjective and more is describing the word interesting. So, it's an adverb. The weather report is almost always right. So always is an adjective and almost is an adverb because it's describing always, right? It's saying almost always. So almost is the adverb and always is the adjective. So the fifth part of speech we have here is pronoun. A pronoun is defined as a word or phrase that is used as a substitution for a noun. Common pronouns are he, she, you, me, I, we, us, this, them, and that. So, the entire purpose of using pronouns is to avoid repetition because if we were to use the same name again and again in a single sentence, we would have repeated the name many, many times. Okay, so here's an example. Barbara drinks a cup of coffee every afternoon. Barbara likes to have the cup of coffee before dinner. So we're repeating the name Barbara twice, and it does not sound nice, and it's in fact it sounds incorrect. So the correct sentence would be with the usage of pronouns. Barbara drinks a cup of coffee every afternoon. She likes to have it before dinner. Okay, so in this sentence, we're not repeating the name Barbara twice, and when we're using the pronoun she, we already know that we're talking about Barbara because we already mentioned her once before. So pronouns make your sentences flow easily, and they also make them more interesting. So other examples of pronouns are he, it, you, I, they, we, who, him, them, whoever, anyone, something, and nobody. So here are some more examples of pronouns being used in sentences. So the first one is Billy, Karen, and I were playing poker with friends. So instead of Billy, Karen, and I, we can use the word we. So we is a pronoun. We were playing poker with friends. Number two, Ellie loves watching movies. So instead of the word Ellie, we can say she. She loves watching movies, especially if they are comedies. They over here is referring to the movies. Will Daniel be going to the circus with Sarah? So Daniel and Sarah, instead of Daniel, we can say he. Instead of Sarah, we can say her. And instead of circus, we can say there. So he, their, and her are all pronouns. Another example is if I say Hanya is tall, so Hanya doesn't have to wear heels. So in this sentence, I'm using the word Hanya twice, which is incorrect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to Hanya is tall, so she doesn't have to wear heels. So I replaced the second Hanya with the word she, which is a pronoun. So, the entire purpose of using pronouns is to avoid repetition and to add a very easy and a beautiful flow to your sentence. So the last one that we're going to study about is called conjunction. A conjunction is a part of speech that is used to connect words, phrases, clauses, or sentences. Okay, so there are many different types of conjunctions, but we're mainly going to look at these three: subordinating, coordinating, and correlative conjunctions. So let's have a look at subordinating conjunctions first. Also known as subordinators, these conjunctions join dependent clauses to independent clauses. Okay, so let me just give a very short explanation on dependent clauses and independent clauses. So, if you simply state it, a dependent clause is a phrase or a sentence that does not make sense on its own, and an independent clause is a phrase or a sentence that makes sense on its own. So, for example, I write down the sentence I tried to dodge the ball, but it hit my face. Okay, so in this sentence, the phrase I tried to dodge the ball is an independent clause because it makes sense on its own. And the phrase it hit my face is a dependent clause because it does not make sense on its own. See, if you just try to read the independent clause, which is I tried to dodge the ball, it makes sense on its own. It is a complete thought, it is a complete sentence, and it makes sense. But if you just look at the dependent clause and you remove everything else, it hit my face. It hit my face does not make sense. It is not a complete thought. It is not a complete sentence. It does not tell you what hit my face, why did it hit my face. It doesn't tell you anything. So it's a dependent clause. So an independent clause is a phrase that makes sense on its own, and a dependent clause is a phrase that does not make sense on its own, and it depends on the independent clause to make sense. So subordinating conjunctions basically connect these two. All right. Okay. Coordinating conjunctions, also known as coordinators, these conjunctions coordinate or join two or more sentences, main clauses, words, or other parts of speech which are of the same syntactic importance. So the six coordinating conjunctions that there are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Sorry, there's 7. So, and you can remember them using the acronym fanboys, right? For and nor, for and nor, but, or, yet, so. So this is how you remember the coordinating conjunctions. And correlative conjunctions are conjunctions that link words and phrases together, but they always come in pairs. So we're going to do this one a little later. Let's focus on these two first. So here's a list of subordinating conjunctions that are commonly used in English: as, because, for, just as, neither, not only, whether, however, moreover, therefore, thus, consequently, furthermore, unfortunately, although. So there are many others, and these are just a few. And I'm going to use some of these in sentences for you. So I can make the sentence, I like playing basketball because I am good at it, right? So I use the word because, which is a subordinating conjunction, and I used it to connect the two clauses, which was I like to play basketball and I am good at it. Okay, so I am good at it is a dependent clause, and I like to play basketball is an independent clause. All right, and the subordinating conjunction is connecting the two of them. Okay, let's look at some examples of coordinating conjunctions. Remember again, fanboys. You have to remember fanboys is an acronym for coordinating conjunctions. Okay, so for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. These are the only coordinating conjunctions. So let's look at the first sentence. I tried to hit the nail, but hit my thumb instead. I have 2 goldfish and a cat. I bought a new bag for my upcoming trip. You can have peach ice cream or a brownie sundae. Neither the black dress nor the gray one looks right on me. Okay, so I have a few more sentences written down over here, and we're going to identify the independent clause, the dependent clause, and the subordinating conjunction in each sentence. So, number 1 is I wanted to go to the party, however, I wasn't able to. So, in this one, the word however is a subordinating conjunction, all right. And I wanted to go to the party is an independent clause because it makes sense on its own, independent. And I wasn't able to is a dependent clause because it does not make sense on its own. So the word however, which is a subordinating conjunction, is connecting the two together. Okay, the second one is unfortunately, my necklace broke right before my birthday party. So in this one, the word unfortunately is a subordinating conjunction. The third sentence is, although everyone played well, we lost the game. So although over here is a subordinating conjunction, everyone played well is a dependent clause, and we lost the game is an independent clause because we lost the game makes sense on its own, but everyone played well does not make sense on its own because it doesn't tell you who played well, where did they play well, which game did they play well in. So it's a dependent clause and it doesn't make sense on its own. So the word although is connecting the two clauses. Okay, here are 2 more examples of coordinating conjunctions. My dad always worked hard, so we could afford the things we wanted. I tried very hard in school, yet I am not receiving good grades. So all of these words, for and nor, but, or, yet, so, are all coordinating conjunctions. So now let's come to correlative conjunctions. So the previous slide said that correlative conjunctions always come in pairs, and we'll see that over here. So either or, neither nor are both, they both come in pairs, and they're both correlative conjunctions, and they're always used together. So either or, neither nor, such that, whether or, not only but also, both and, as many as, no sooner than, rather than. So examples of correlative conjunctions in sentences are: number one, we could either hike up the mountain or swim in the lake this afternoon. So in this sentence, either or are coming in pairs and they are both correlative conjunctions. Whether you bike or drive to work, you will need to show your parking pass. So whether or. Not only did my father buy me a Nintendo Switch, but he also bought me a bunch of games. Not only, but also. Such is the intensity of the pollen outside that I can't leave the house. Such that. My parents went to both Hawaii and Bali last year. Both and. She would no sooner cheat on an exam than falsify her credentials. No sooner than. They would rather go to the movies than the mall. Rather than. Neither do I know how to drive, nor do I want to learn. Neither nor. So as you can see, these are correlative conjunctions and they always come in pairs and they are basically connecting the sentence together, right? So if we look at the last one, neither do I know how to drive, nor do I want to learn. So they're basically connecting the sentence together and that's why they are called conjunctions, but they're correlative conjunctions because they're two words that always come in a pair. So these pairs of correlative conjunctions should just be learned as they are because they are supposed to be used in pairs. So for example, if we look at the first one, we could either hike up the mountain or swim in the lake this afternoon. If I replace the word or with and, it won't make sense. Okay, here it is. We could either hike up the mountain and swim in the lake this afternoon, right? So it's not making sense because either or is presenting a choice. So either you could hike up the mountain or you could swim in the lake this afternoon. So it's giving you a choice. But the word and will not fit in here because it's not giving you a choice, right? So either is giving you the first part of the choice and or is giving you the second part of the choice. So any other word instead of or any other word instead of either will not go well over here because it will be grammatically incorrect. So it's very important that these correlative conjunctions should just be learned as they are and they should always be used in pairs. So this brings us to the end of the first video, which was on parts of speech. In the description box under the YouTube video, you're going to see a Google Drive link, which will link you to the practice worksheets that we've created. Just make sure that you do all of the questions in the worksheets and you do them right after watching this video so that you can really solidify your concepts by practicing those questions. And the answer keys are also there, so you can check your own answers. Just make sure you get enough practice for every single topic so that you can keep solidifying your concepts as you go along.